Good evening, Internet, and welcome back to Bloodstone, our Four Dads 5th edition D&D campaign set in the Forgotten Realms. I am 8BitPonies, and it has been a minute since we've done this. Episode 35 was almost 2 months ago now, and this is episode 36, what we're calling Stabbing Westward. If you recognize the reference, good on you. If not, there's still time. A couple announcements before we get going again. As I have mentioned a couple of times on stream in the last week, poor Snack. As I mentioned a couple of times on stream in the last week, we are moving to a slightly altered schedule for Bloodstone at least for the near future, as opposed to skipping every single week for 2 months. We're going to be reducing our schedule down to the first and third Tuesdays of every month for Bloodstone. If there is a fifth Tuesday, then we'll talk about whether it's going to be a Bloodstone thing or something entirely different. But as for standard, our Bloodstone schedule will be the first and third Tuesday of every month, whereas our Starfleet Battles Academy schedule will be picking up the slack and taking the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month. So I'm just trying to take some time back from my increasingly busy schedule, my increasingly busy streaming schedule, so that I can produce more quality content and skip fewer Bloodstones, skip fewer Starfleets, because I just don't have time to prepare for those things. But we're going to keep the weekend schedule exactly as it is. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will remain untouched. But our Monday schedule will go away, at least for the short term. We will not have stream on Sundays, Mondays, or Wednesdays. Tuesdays will alternate. First and third week of the month will be Bloodstone. Second and fourth Tuesdays of the month will be Starfleet Battles Academy. And as I said before, if there's a fifth Sunday, I keep saying Sunday, if there's a fifth Tuesday out of the month, we'll either do another Bloodstone or we'll do something special, like a variety game or something like that. I want to say a big hello to the rest of the cast. Gentlemen, it's so good to have you back. How's it going?
Doing all right.
Following along.
Great. Glad to have you guys back. Glad to have you guys back for some more Bloodstone. I've been looking forward to this for now 2 months. And we're finally here. We're finally getting to leave Heliogabalus. We'll dive right into a recap, and then we'll get into some Bloodstone action, using air quotes there. So when last we left our intrepid group of adventurers, it was 2 months ago. It was back in December, and we had decided, after some conversation with Major Donnelly, or Colonel Donnelly, from the Bloodstone military, and some conversation with Warden, or Marshal Killian, of the Wardens of the White Tree, the sort of logistics schedule, the sort of travel arrangements had been made. Some explanations had been given for exactly what you could expect on your travel from Heliogabalus to Mulmantar to Mulmaster and then on to Melvant. It's something of a complicated journey. The Bloodstone throne keeps a network available for emergencies and situations like this. They have the ability to teleport small groups of people to the new settlement of Mulmantar, which is on the far east coast of the Moonsea, about a day's sail from the city of Mulmaster. Mulmaster is your eventual destination to catch a ship to the city of Melvant, where the compact, the Moonsea Compact, is going to be held in just a few days. The first day of the 11th month is the day of the commencement of the Moonsea Compact, where multiple city-states from around the Moonsea, the Kingdom of Impilter and now representatives from the Kingdom of Bloodstone will be coming together to discuss a growing threat to the north in the great grey land of Thar and the possibility of war with the savage tribes that live therein. Eldric has been chosen by the Bloodstone throne, His Majesty King Gareth Dragonsbane, to represent the Kingdom of Bloodstone in that compact, and will speak with the King's voice and the King's authority during that meeting with the heads of the other city-states. He was requested by name by one of the principals of the Moonsea Compact, the man that is pulling all of this together, Lord Halembrar of Impilter, one of the 12 Lords of Empress II, the ruling council of Impilter, who intends to lead this crusade into Thar because of reports or evidence that he has gathered that there is some demonic uprising that is happening among the savage tribes of Thar. Not wanting to have that on the shores of the Moonsea or anywhere near the nation of Impilter, even though it's technically hundreds of miles away. Halembrar, upon the discovery that some of his operatives made in the land of Thar, has spared no expense and wasted no time in amassing a large number of troops, and is working with the other city-states within the Moonsea area, the northern Moonsea coast, to come together and address this perceived threat. The party has spent almost a month now. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Close to 2 weeks, actually. Close to 20 days in the city of Heliogabalus. There have been a number of things that have happened in that amount of time. Met and lost some friends. Eldric has arisen and was coronated the Baron of Morov. Had a big party. Had some strange supernatural events that have occurred both around your party and in the city as a whole. We've discovered a plot against the leadership of the Bloodstone Kingdom, and confirmed once and for all that His Majesty himself, King Gareth Dragonsbane, is not actually King Gareth Dragonsbane. He has been replaced by a doppelganger. The intelligence network of the Bloodstone Kingdom is in shambles, and the military and what remains of the King's inner circle and his court are trying desperately to seize control of what they can, while not putting the true Gareth Dragonsbane at risk by tipping their hand that they know that the imposter sitting on the throne is not, in fact, Gareth. Lots of things, as I said, have been happening. The 2 members of the party have departed, or at least soon will depart. Sprout, the strange Furbolg wanderer that the party met in the Underdark, has disappeared after a run-in with a powerful undead creature at the northern gate, the Baron's Gate of Heliogabalus. And Alanir, upon discovering that there is a cult of Orcus once again active in the Bloodstone Kingdom that might threaten the Bloodstone City, has begged leave from Eldric to return to Bloodstone Valley and mount a defense against an attack that he and several others of his druidic circle believe is coming. So we are down to just 3. 4 if you count the simulacrum Mycaria that Mycaria has created. But once again, the party is reduced in number. Still hailing or still operating out of the ancestral manor Oakheart, Eldric is making his final preparations to, in the next few days, leave the city of Heliogabalus behind and head west to the Moonsea area to take place in the Compact. So where we'll pick up today is with essentially prior to the end of the last session, I asked each of the players to provide me with a list of things that they would like to attempt to accomplish in the few days that they had between the final meeting with Colonel Donnelly and their departure date, which is the evening of the 26th. So over the course of 3 days, the party is trying to wrap up their final little pieces of business within the city of Heliogabalus. Alanir is leaving the party. Macaria is honestly not doing much, sticking around the manor and managing her own affairs in the privacy of her rooms. But thoros'l and Eldrick have a number of things that they have asked to attempt to accomplish, and we're going to go through that list pretty quickly so that we can move on with the rest of the adventure and get on to things that are outside of the city of Heliogabalus. 36 episodes now, and we've been here in the city doing just city stuff. So it'll be good to get out and go to other environs and do other things at last. So we'll start with thoros'l. thoros'l, you've asked for a couple of different things. Number one is spending several days doing some training with the sword. thoros'l, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, because it's been more than a year, lost some fingers in the last fight that you were all in one of his sword hand, and has been a little frustrated with the lack of action that he's been involved in since returning to Heliogabalus, and has had little opportunity to start acclimating himself or reacclimating himself to the sword, given his injury or his newly maimed hand. So thoros'l, you will have the opportunity to get some of that training, to do some dueling, and as you're like asking around and finding that you're trying to find someone that can help you with that, you'll discover that there's a newly opened dueling school, a dueling academy within the city of Heliogabalus that wasn't here the last time that you were in town. Granted, you were out for close to a month, but it's actually run by an Avariel, which is a winged elf. He hails from Impilter, and he's very recently opened this academy in one of the previously abandoned buildings in the Old Town section of the city, and he specializes in a very different style of swordplay than you do. But as you start to get to know him, as you start to take an opportunity to kind of watch his students and watch the way that he teaches, you approach him and ask, essentially, can you give me a challenge? Can give me an opportunity to kind of relearn how to use the sword, given that I'm missing 2 of the fingers on my right hand. He is happy to indulge you, maybe seek some kinship in you, or at least with the very, very, very deep purse that you have to offer from the coffers of Oakhart Manor. And you spend most of your time over the course of the next 3 days sweating it out with this gentleman, and I had his name and I did not write it down. We'll just call him the Maestro, as that is the title. Maestro. The Maestro. That's the title that he uses within his school, and he doesn't put you against any of his students. Most of his quote unquote students are young, bored sons of noblemen in the city, merchant sons, more than just mercenaries, and certainly not like the lower class of Heliogabalus, but more those who have who view this as their leisure time. younger sons of, like I said, merchant families or noble families that, sensing the growing popularity of this style of dueling with a rapier, are trying to stay on the cutting edge, if you'll mind the pun, of the sport, and are attempting to learn how to duel. They're all terrible. They're all really, really bad. But the maestro doesn't seem to mind, and he teaches them the basics, stick them with a pointy end kind of sword play. Basically, trying to keep them from hurting themselves while they are learning how to use the swords that they all are tending to wear nowadays. But after hours, the maestro trains directly with you, and before the days that you have spent with him are ended, you are starting to get some comfort with the longsword. Is still very, very difficult because it's a heavy weapon to try to be held in with just 3 fingers, but you're starting to get back to the point where you're not as impaired as you were without any sort of practice. Still, it's only 3 days of practice, but you're very intense and very focused, and so you have opportunity to, when you go into battle the next time, you will not still be at disadvantage.
All right, sounds good.
The other thing that you asked for specifically was you wanted to talk to Durbin Holy about potentially procuring you a new weapon to replace the sword that you lost or traded away to Pardic. Your request for an artifact of the house or an enchanted weapon that he could procure for you quickly, unfortunately was declined, but he is able to speak with one of the smiths on staff and provide you with a common longsword that has been silvered, as you've requested.
Sounds good. I figured that would be the case, so sounds good.
Checking in on Miranda, you find on the day of the 23rd, which is the first day that you would have had free to go looking for her, that the Baroness Sylvia's retinue left the previous evening, in something of a hurry, and took off toward the south, back toward Praca, which is the capital of Ostel, which is the barony that Sylvia presides over. So Miranda is no longer in town. And similarly, making your way in your off time, making your way to the various haunts that you've encountered, Pardic Talendar, aka Pardic Wolfswift, you find that he is nowhere to be found in Heliogabalus as well.
Great. We're all getting out of town. Sounds like we all have the right idea, huh?
Everybody has the right idea.
Yep.
So, with that information in mind, is there anything else that you need to attempt to accomplish prior to leaving the city of Heliogabalus on the evening of the 26th?
I think I've got everything I need, at least shopping and all that, like the essentials and whatnot, and so I'm good.
Fantastic. Then we will go to... I'll do the same thing for both Alanir and Macaria. We're going to get to Eldrick's stuff, but Eldrick has a longer list, so we're going to get to you guys first. Macaria, Alanir, we'll ask Macaria first. Is there anything that you have not, up to this point in time, communicated to me that Macaria needs to try to accomplish prior to leaving Heliogabalus?
I think the very last thing she'll do is probably send Mycaria out to see if any of the vendors might have spell scrolls.
Okay.
Just assortment, because Macaria is going to be preparing herself in her books, so she'll send Mycaria out to get one level 2 and 2 level 1 spells of some sort with money, and be like, surprise me, dear.
Okay. Low level spells like that. There's a wizards or spellcasters guild in the Purse district. They're in the Rise. The Ever-Seeing Eye is a wizards guild that keeps a tower in the Rise district, and they have a presence in the Great Market in Coinholm. So it would be possible then for Mycaria to go and inquire after some low-level spell scrolls. If you wanna choose like you said, a second level and 2 first level spells that that you want scrolls for. I assume that this is intended to scribe those into your spell book.
Maybe, but I was mainly just in case on the road, so that's as well.
Okay.
So
then absolutely, yeah, you can do that. You can choose, those 3 scrolls that you would like to have spell scrolls of.
okay.
You're welcome to do so.
Well, that takes away almost all the money I had, so I am out of.
Great. Alanir, how about you? Anything additional that you need to accomplish or that I have not fulfilled that you already requested prior to you leaving Eldrick and company behind and heading back to Bloodstone Valley?
No, not really. His biggest thing was just waiting to see if he can get the potions of true seeing or whatever that, and kind of just mentally making a game plan of how he's going to kind of tackle trying to plan a defense as well as track down or try to identify the doppelgangers.
Understood. And I think that we covered this on the previous episode.
I believe so.
Yeah, if we didn't, in the case that we didn't or that we don't remember, when Durbin Holy went to get the true seeing ointments that Eldrick requested for the party, that effectively bought out what the Wizards Guild had on hand, and they're not opposed to making more or attempting to make more, but it'll take some time, and they just don't have it on hand right now.
Okay.
But that's something that you could effectively have requested, put in the order, since you're not sure when you're going to come back to Heliogabalus. You could potentially have it delivered to the capital, or to the current capital, if you want to put the money down early.
Yes, that's actually it would do that. Yeah, basically put in the order for it and have it delivered to the capital. That way, hopefully at least he can have it maybe at some point.
Understood. Yeah, so that's something you can absolutely do. I'm taking notes here that you have requested that. All right, all right. So I have all of those notes. Is there anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you've already had your farewell with Eldrick and the party. So at this point in time, I've already removed the Alanir icon from the streaming page. So you can consider Alanir, at least for the short term, effectively retired.
I saw the icon gone. Almost broke my heart.
We will definitely hope to see Alanir again sometime in the future, assuming that he survived, or that any of us survive what is coming. But yeah, in the meantime, Simmerth, sit tight, and we'll get you something new to do very, very soon.
All right.
I mean, I think we all know Makaria will survive. She's got a god halo right now.
In the meantime, we were talking about this off stream, and I asked these guys for the list of things that they wanted to do in the meantime, and Souls sent me a freaking book of things that he wanted. So I'm going to try to speed through them as much as we can so we can get on to other things, but we do have a few things to cover. Number one, we wanted to talk about the guard dossiers. just to, I'm not going to go into super detail.
Sure.
They're all hand chosen by someone very close to this issue. They're not all necessarily members of the order, but they are all close to the order. Highly trusted, highly decorated members of, or highly experienced members of the Bloodstone military, who have worked together, for the most part, who have worked together before. They're led by a paladin of Ilmater, and her name is Nisme Nalimbar. You'll have, aside from Nisme, you'll have another cleric of Ilmater, a wizard, 5 fighters, and a ranger, who are all, as I said, all handpicked and have all been vetted both by the Grandmaster of the Order of the Golden Cup and by the Wardens of the White Tree to serve as effectively as your honor guard.
Gotcha. Is the cleric the guy that I played spin the circle of truth with?
No. In fact, you had dismissed one of the original 10 members of the that were chosen for your honor guard, because Marshal Killian had requested to send Japhet Bogdan, the cleric that you spoke with at length after the party, or no, before the party, after the issue with the Shadow Gap.
Yep.
And he'll be going along as your number 2.
Got it.
So Japhet Bogdan is not part of the original retinue, but he's going in the place of one of the members that you dismissed.
Gotcha. Well, I'll just mark one of the fighters off then.
Well, you still have all of those individuals. You would have had a 6th fighter had not Bogdan been brought on.
Got it.
Instead. Yeah.
Well, already. I like it. Got it marked.
You also had some shopping that you wanted to do. You wanted to pick up a bag of holding, and that's something that you absolutely can do. They're common enough, or at least not rare, and they're items that are highly sought after. So they are. It is possible for you to request one purchased. It'll cost you 1,000 gold, but
not a problem.
That's not an issue. Also, you requested a consultation with an alchemist or someone who brews potions to see if a potion that would allow you to speak with plants was available or could be made available. And you basically get the same kind of thing that Alanir got with his true seeing potions. Is like, that's not something that we keep on hand. In fact, we would have to reach out to a contact with the Druid Circle in order to potentially have that created, and that'll take time, but it is something that we can start working on for you. It'll probably take about 2 weeks.
Eldrick would definitely want that ordered and then delivered to the manor, and
Understood.
then he would let both his mom and Durban Holy know that was something he had ordered that would be coming in that he would want whenever he got back.
Okay.
How much is that going to cost?
I'm sorry, that would cost you another 2,000.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, that's something that they're having to research how to do effectively, and then time and ingredients, basically time and materials.
Gotcha.
The third thing that you wanted to attempt to procure was a ring that perhaps could be enchanted sometime in the future. I'm not exactly sure what you're planning to do with that, other than the cursory experience or the cursory explanation that you gave me. But you'd want a high quality ring of some kind of piece of jewelry that you could use to link your weapon to.
Let's just skip on that, and I'll send you a longer email about that sometime.
Okay.
Because I'm guessing, based on the other 2 answers, this would be something that they would have to custom make anyway.
Most likely, yes.
Got it.
Then, in speaking with Endurus, you request, hey, essentially you're spending some additional time with Endurus and getting to know him, and then you find a way to bring up, we're potentially going into a very dangerous situation here. Would it be possible? Would it be something that you would consider if I, Eldrick, could have some barding made for you? And Endurus appreciates the gesture, but declines. That would any sort of armor would interfere with his ability to fly,
Gotcha.
and he doesn't feel that he would need it.
Gotcha.
Then, continuing on with the laundry list,
Sorry.
I will send you. I'm hoping that it's not like a huge decision point for you, but you wanted to go back through the pieces of information that you were able to find in the satchel that your father, I'm using air quotes, left for you in the Heartlands whenever you were beneath the city of Garen's Rest.
Yep.
And specifically the illustrated, effectively graphic novels, the adventures of Tierce Arcady, or Sir Tierce Arcady, and his amazing friends. I'll give you a full breakdown of each of those stories off stream.
Sure, absolutely.
Unless that's something that you think that you're going to need to know sooner rather than later.
I don't suspect it'll change decisions anytime soon. I mostly just wanted to have Eldrick have put in the time so that if at some point I needed to justify having an intelligence roll to remember something, I could.
Absolutely, and that you absolutely can do. And like I said, since I've got more time now that we're not going to be doing this weekly, I will make notes for myself to essentially provide summaries for each of those stories and send those to you off stream.
Excellent.
Finally, you requested to spend some time around the manor and looking through sort of the library that your father and mother have curated over the years, and determine if there's any sort of family history to be found. Obviously, there's some. There are. Your family has not been particularly prolific in having specific works penned on their behalf, but there are probably some members of the Oaks family in the past who have made an effort to at least attempt to write down things about your family's your family history, specifically around. I've got to pull open a document that I don't have open for this, so bear with me just a second. But specifically around your most recent ancestors, I think that you were looking for, trying to draw a line between the Neal Oaks that you read about in the Wells of History versus the Neal Oaks that you believe is your ancestor. Trying to draw a line between them.
Yep. Trying to get. Yep.
Give me just a second, and I'm trying to pull open a document here that's got that information in it. I realize I said finally. I didn't mean that because there's there's even more stuff. Where are you? The Tale of Eldrick the Unready is not the one that I wanted. That was a different thing altogether. that you'll recall.
Well, the bard singing in the middle of the town, wasn't he?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, now this isn't the right document. All right, so I'm going to try to recite as much of this from memory as I possibly can.
Sure.
So your father, Titus, his father was Neal Oaks. Your grandfather was a man by the name Neal Oaks, and his life was not particularly noteworthy by any stretch of the imagination. He was a previous noble in the service of the Baron of Morov, but he effectively inherited from his father, Petrick, your great grandfather, Petrick Oaks. And as I recall, he was, I believe Neal was left behind to manage your great grandfather's estate in Heliogabalus and in Morov during the time that Petrick, your great grandfather, spent almost all of his time traveling the world. Your grandfather Neal inherited when Petrick's ship was lost in the Moonsea, of all places, with all hands. So he disappeared some 60, 80 some years ago, I believe. And I think closer to 60 years ago. I'm not looking at the specific notes, so I'm guesstimating. But he disappeared, leaving your still relatively young grandfather Neal to inherit and to take over effectively the family business. But the Oaks family didn't really come into real prominence again until your father took over. Your grandfather died maybe a decade before the war began, and your father, Titus Oaks, quickly consolidated power and effectively remade the Oaks' fortune by establishing the Fallen Star trading coster that would then reestablishing the Fallen Star trading coster, which reaches out to the Cold Lands, which Damara and Impilter, the Vast, which is just to the west of Impilter, all of the Moonsea, and even as far west as Cormyr. A very massive trading network that has enriched your family again, beyond anything that your previous your grandfather could manage, and established himself not only as a very powerful and respected merchant, but also as something of a hero in the Bloodstone Wars. Not by any necessarily, or by any force of arms necessarily. Your father wasn't like a war hero, but he did establish himself as a very influential member of the defense in Bloodstone during the occupation by providing arms and equipment to the armies when they rose up against Zhengi. So he was one of the primary suppliers for the armies that Gareth rose, that Gareth raised after the Bloodstone Civil War to then take on Zhengi and take back Damara from the hordes of Vasa. But as far as trying to find any links back to 700 years in the past, none of those documents have survived. if they existed at all. So
Great grandpa erased them before he disappeared. I see how it is.
now there are mentions and even like portraits. You've got portraits of various members of your family throughout the years that are in Oakhart Manor. Not all of them are in good shape, and the oldest is your great-great-grandfather, Horace Oakes. So Horace begat Petrick, Petrick begat Niall, Niall begat Titus, Titus begat Eldrick. You've got 5 generations of Oaks there in Oak Manor, and mentions at least of Horace, but not a lot of details.
Gotcha. All right.
Any follow-ups there before we move on?
I don't think so. Nothing to spend time on right now.
Okay, and then truly the last thing, and I'm checking my email one more time to make sure that I'm not misleading you again. But truly the last thing then would be you wanted to spend some time specifically around Madeline and attempt to convince yourself that she is in fact your mother.
Yeah, basically yes. Yeah, basically yes. I'll be honest, this is more of a souls can't leave any rock unturned problem than really an Eldrick being paranoid problem. But I feel like there's a big red button in that house that I haven't pushed yet, and I haven't found it, and it's frustrating me.
Okay.
So unfortunately, Eldrick is inheriting my paranoia.
So because we haven't done this yet, I'm going to ask you for 3 insight checks.
Okay.
So
Insight checks.
one after another. We'll do 3 insight checks for the last 3 days that you have to spend around Madeline, and you're being intentionally probing, trying to essentially trying to catch her in a lie, and tip yourself off to the possibility that she might not be who she says she is.
Gotcha. All right. Well, my first one is a gentleman's 21.
Okay.
My second one is an 11. Very
Okay.
solid there. And my third one is going to be a 12. I have apparently been very distracted the past 2 days.
Well, it may just be that after the first day, you had a very, very good first day with Madeline. You spent a lot of time under the auspices of working on setting up your steward, Mr. Knapp, or Steward Knapp, who's going to be taking care of the barony in your absence. Basically setting her up with everything that she would need to guide your steward. Making sure that your wishes are known, making sure that anything that is specifically important to you is addressed, and then her giving some advice on what she thinks as being in charge of a noble household for most of her life. She has a great deal of insight that she could provide to you.
Gotcha.
This would be very difficult to fake. You've always known your mother as kind of a pit bull, as far as the games that nobles play, the political games, and that first day spent with her, you get a very, very good sense through that conversation that her tenacity and her just pure level of insight and the ruthlessness that you have come to expect from her in the political arena are 100% Madeline.
Excellent.
So the next 2 days are primarily just spent trying your best to set those fears aside and just enjoy the time that you have left with your mother before you're gone for God's know how long.
Oh, yeah.
She does occasionally, during those discussions, she does occasionally get maybe a date wrong or a small detail, and you get the feeling that she is nervous. She's nervous that your behavior over the course of the last few days has been a little suspect, and you get the feeling that she has begun to suspect that you don't trust her, and so she overcompensates a little bit by whenever she gets something wrong, and they could be honest mistakes, but she's blowing things a little more out of proportion because she is affronted by the idea that there's something between you two. When she spent the day in bed a few days ago and you came into her room and you're basically trying to toss the place while she watched you, you tipped her off. You tipped her off that something was amiss between the two of you, and that is felt those last 2 days.
Gotcha.
She is enthusiastic whenever you take her out to kind of visit the tailoring shops and put together your sort of not your uniform, but the face that you're going to present to the dignitaries at the compact. She is very enthusiastic about that. But the rest of the reminiscence, you remember my birthday, this thing, that thing, the other thing.
Yeah.
She's very guarded.
Indeed.
And then the last thing that you wanted to ask her and Holy specifically was about the tree.
Yeah.
And then, so in both instances, you get the basically the same story from them, that your father returned from his military service with a sapling, and it was one of the times that he returned from military service. And it is expected that during that time was when you were conceived. So you and the tree are linked in that way, in that tree was planted around about the same time that your seed was planted. But as far as there being any sort of supernatural or spiritual connection between the two of you, neither Holy nor Madeline have any idea, or at least they aren't copying to it.
Sure. Well, that puts the timeline in order. I like it.
All right. Anything else? Because that is a lot of information that we've gone through in just over an hour, or just under an hour. So I'd like to move on if we can, but if there's anything else that we want to try to accomplish prior to moving to the evening of the 26th, where you gather together and leave the city, now is the time.
Nope.
Fantastic. All right. Then the evening of the 26th arrives. After anticipating this moment for the last several days, you put all of your affairs in order within the city. Eldrick he is present at the house just as the tab for the Bloodstone arms that the party has wrapped up is delivered to Durban Holy, and as the carriage wheels away from Oakhart Manor, the messenger that comes in the livery of the Bloodstone arms to deliver that bill passes the carriage, and there's just this glint in thoros'l's eye. And he thoros'l, you imagine you can hear just a collective drawing in of breath from Durban Holy and whoever is managing the finances at Oakhart, as they get the butcher's bill, as it were, But you are safely beyond Durban Holy's power by that time. You are wheeling your way to the Golden Bastion, which is the headquarters of the military of Bloodstone that is operating here within the city of Heliogabalus. You are ferried across town around about the same time that the sun is setting. You are taken to the bastion itself and ushered in the four of you. That would be Eldrick, thoros'l, Macaria, and Mycaria. You are essentially taken to where the Colonel Donnelly, is already assembled with the members of Eldrick's guard. Eldrick, you will note, you already knew this from looking at the dossiers that you were given, but you are dealing with 6 humans, a dwarf, a half-orc, a half-elf, and a halfling. Those are the demographic of your guards. Nisme is not someone that you know. Captain Nalambar, Captain Nisme Nalambar, is is the leader of your guard. At this point in time, at least, you recognize Japhet Bogdan, but he is deferring to the captain at this point in time. And she is not someone that you know, but someone that you know of. She is not a member of the order, but she is within good standing within the military, and she has risen to the rank of captain, which is what you would have been had you maintained your commission instead of what you've been doing. She seems very capable. She's very courteous. She introduces you to each of the members of the group. You spend a little bit of time getting to know each of them. I'll provide you with all of the names, races, classes, and things like that of the individuals that you are aware of, and I'll send that off stream.
Sounds good.
You go over the plan once again with Donnelly. Essentially, you are being transported to the outpost on the western end of the Galenas Mountains, the eastern coast of the Moonsea. It's called Mulmantar. It is a joint effort between Mulmaster, the city of contracts, and the Bloodstone Kingdom, where the pass between the Galenas Mountains, that is being referred to as the Mulman Pass, that opened up earlier this year, is the terminus of that pass, and I can actually switch over to show you some stuff now that we're leaving the city. So bear with me just a second, and I will get that up. I have visual aids. Here we go.
Woo-hoo!
All right, so what you can see on the screen is, there we go. All right, so you are yet here in Heliogabalus. Generally speaking, caravans that are traveling to the Moonsea would have, prior to the opening of the pass earlier this year, travel all the way down south to Impilter, catch a ship from there, and then go all the way across half of the Sea of Fallen Stars, up the Dragon Reach, and then into the Moonsea. Now, most of that traffic, if not all of that traffic, goes west along the Beaumaris River to the outpost / growing, burgeoning trade city of Terran's Rest in Arcata. And then through the mountains, through the new pass, to the outpost of Mulmantar, where then goods are shipped either by sea on the Moonsea or over the overland route to the city of Mulmaster. Mulmaster then manages all of the additional distribution out to the rest of the world. And those are the two cities that you are going, or the two the two locations that you are going to be traveling to. You're going to be traveling by teleportation to Mulmantar, and then you'll be leaving from Mulmantar later this evening to travel. It'll be a day's travel to Mulmaster. It has already been explained to you that Mulmaster is a very stringent city-state. They have some very specific and very, we'll say, difficult statutes within their city. They're a very xenophobic people, in that it is effectively illegal for non-humans to be present within the city who are not property. In addition, all spell casting by anyone who is not officially licensed within the city is an offense, and it is a capital offense. It is punishable by immediate death. So, you have been provided with contracts to allow for your safe passage through the city, but the expectation is that those members of your party that are, and this is to include your personal guard, but those members of your party who are of races that are not preferred in Mulmaster are hidden away during the time that you are in the city. But upon arrival to the city, the contract that you have between the Bloodstone Kingdom and the leadership of Mulmaster, the High Blade of Mulmaster, is that you'll be ferried through the city directly to the docks and loaded onto a ship with no gaps. There's no time effectively within the city. You will be taken from the city gates when you arrive to the docks and loaded onto a ship so that you may effectively leave immediately. That is all that the contract covers, and deviation from that contract will result in trouble. Between both personally and between the city-state of Mulmaster and the Kingdom of Damara, or Bloodstone. Sorry. Then it's a 3-day by sea trip from Mulmaster to Melvant. You are to meet once you arrive in Melvant. It is going to be on the 30th. You'll be arriving late on the 30th, or the expectation is you'll arrive late on the 30th of this month, and essentially escorted directly to accommodations that are being kept for you as a dignitary visiting for the compact. But you are to look for an operative by the name of Magnuson Nightingale, who will be your liaison with the Impelturian and Bloodstone forces within the Moonsea region, or within the Melvantian region. And then the information for your the specifics of the compact will be given to you by that individual, Agent Nightingale.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions or anything that you want to do before departure? This is your last save point, effectively.
I think we're teleporting out.
I am
Just for the
taking a
record.
rock.
Sorry. Taking a rock.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. Makaria has
That's
a rock.
From the courtyard.
Okay.
Just for the record, Eldrick and his mother would have surely had a tearful goodbye before he got in the carriage. But at this point, we're good to go.
Fantastic. All right. Then you are led out of the bastion and back to a set of carriages. Your guard will be riding along with you. You've got a set of 3 carriages that are carrying both you and your guard back across town to the guild hall, which is on the border of Coinholm and the Purse. The current council, the Golden Council, is what maintains the teleportation circle between Heliogabalus and Mulmantar. And so a wizard from the Ever-Seeing Eye is on station to manage the transport from here to Mulmantar. Let me ask, what are you bringing as far as all of your logistics, your luggage, and everything are being managed by your guard? What are you carrying as opposed to packing? And that's my way of asking: are you wearing your armor and carrying weapons?
Unless we're told not to, yes, very much so.
Your guard is also fully armed, fully outfitted, and you will note that they are wearing Oak's colors, not Damaran colors.
Oh, that would make sense, because they need to... Well, does that make sense? Interesting. I like it. I'm going to make a note about that.
All right. So then, when directed, you all effectively assemble with all of your gear and everything that you need to take along with you on the on the floor where the teleportation circle has been inscribed. You're no stranger to teleportation, and so the familiar buzzing of arcane energy builds. There's a flash, your vision darkens, and whenever it begins to clear again, you are no longer in the Bloodstone Kingdom. You have been ported on the winds of magic some 200 or so miles to the west to what is a fairly well appointed but still a warehouse on the or in the very small, very Spartan outpost of Mulmantar. There is a gentleman there waiting for you by the name of... I've already lost that one too. We'll say that his name is Jaren. Jaren. Well, he'll be Jaren for the time being. He will introduce himself as Jaren, and he is your logistics liaison. He says, the ship is waiting, Excellency. You are expected. We will load you and your retinue onto the ship, and it will depart with all haste. Expectation is... Well, I'm not sure what you were told whenever you arrived, but there have been some difficulties, we'll say, with land travel over the course of the last 10 days. The originally negotiated transport overland, we've had to adjust in order for your safety. You will be transported to a camp just outside the city of Mulmantar, or I'm sorry, just outside the city of Mulmaster, and you will continue on or by carriage, on foot, no more than a half day's ride to the city. Is that an issue? Are you're being is
Does that is that going to cause any problems with Mulmaster's understanding of this agreement?
Not at all. The agreement was that you would enter the city on land through the foothills, and that will still be the case. The issue is that the overland route is considerably more dangerous at this time, and we are essentially sending you, attempting to bypass some of the hotspots. There are reports of a roving band of giants that have come down from the mountains that are harrying and waylaying caravans, and so we are simply rerouting you over water as opposed to over an area of land that we cannot guarantee your safety.
Got it. Okay, that seems like a good plan.
This was communicated. Sadly, it was not communicated to your leadership very long ago. It was only just recently that we were able to secure a ship for you, but we are certain. The captain has assured me that he will be able to make landfall at the camp a half day's ride from the city by morning, and so you should be able to keep your schedule with the city of Mulmaster.
Sounds good. Lead the way then, my friend.
All right. You are provided with a veritable sheaf of paperwork that manages the various contracts that are required to enter the city, the expectations for you on your journey, the expectations for you once you arrive in Mulmaster, this, that, and the other thing. He has you go through a bunch of signing various pieces of paperwork to formalize the deal, make sure that everything is all shipshape, and he reiterates that Mulmaster is very, very fond of the bureaucracy, of keeping everything very, very tight, and everything has to be captured in writing. So he apologizes for all that he's having to put you through with re-signing all of these papers and making all these deals again, but this is the way that business is done with Mulmaster.
Elric is going to take a quick second to identify whether or not the timeline that he gave us matches up with the timeline in the contract, because I'd hate to get there like a day early and they're like, nah, go F yourselves, and then we got to figure out what to do for a day.
You are expected to arrive at Mulmaster by the end of the day tomorrow.
Okay.
And the ship is intended to leave shortly after you arrive. Before the setting of the sun tomorrow, you're intended to be on the ship to Melvant, and you depart shortly after sunset. Your arrival effectively, it just says that your arrival in Mulmaster, you'll once you're announced that you're arriving in Mulmaster, you will be escorted to the docks directly and effectively kept on house arrest on board the ship until it departs.
Yeah, it seems fair. All right. Well, I put my John Hancock on so many pieces of paper, and then we're good to go, I guess.
All right. So then, I suppose then that we can, you board the ship. It is already after sunset. But you meet the captain of the ship, whose name doesn't really matter at this point in time.
Gotcha.
He once again assures you, hey, this is a much safer passage. We are going to be sailing through the night, but my crew is experienced with these waters. You're in far less danger on the deck of my ship or in the hold of my ship than you would be traveling overland right now. We will get you to where you're intended to go, and we will let you off at Camp Iron, which is I'll show you on the map here. Camp Iron is here at the sort of where this peak or this jut of land here on the Moon Sea sticks out. It's kind of a rocky, hilly sort of egress from there, from Camp Iron. It's effectively a mining and shipping camp that works with Mulmaster. It's a property of Mulmaster, but it's not the city itself. But you'll be sailing there. They'll let you off there, and the wagons or your carriages for the overland travel will be waiting for you to be transported with a caravan to Mulmaster itself.
Gotcha. Is this a smaller ship? Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I keep hearing all these people saying this is safer, this is safer. So thoros'l, being now he's out of the city and feeling a little more, got to keep a watchful eye kind of thing. Do they seem nervous? Do these people seem like, I don't know any of these people. I don't think Eldrick does either.
Go ahead and make me an insight check.
Yeah. All right. I'll take a 30.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Damn.
Hot diggity damn. Okay.
That's a nat 20, yeah?
Yeah.
So there is as these people are talking to Eldrick and they're reiterating the same things over and over again. This is a safer route. We apologize for the inconvenience. We don't mean to throw a monkey wrench into the plans. We understand that this is different from what was discussed. They're all kind of reciting the same litany, but it sounds very rehearsed. It sounds very official. They do seem nervous, but not with a 30, not necessarily in a deceptive way. More of a this person that we're talking to is important, and we've been contracted to work with this person, to travel with this person and to transport this person and his retinue, and now we're having to tell him that it's not the way that he expected it. We're having to throw him a curveball because the world has thrown us a curveball, effectively.
That's good. I just was making sure we weren't getting hoodwinked and put on a boat.
It's a good call.
You don't expect just the rehearsed nature and the way that they're trying to seem overly forced calm. This is, oh God, please don't throw a fit because things are changing. We're trying to do our jobs. We're trying to uphold our side of the contract. But things have changed for us, and we have no control over it. Kind of situation.
Right. That's fair. thoros'l will cut him some slack, but looking out.
They do all seem to be very overly accommodating. They want to make sure that this relationship that they're a part of between the two nations, or the city-state and the kingdom, that has been very, very lucrative for both parties, is preserved, and pissing off one of the 7 great landowners in the Bloodstone Kingdom is not a good way to do that, to do business. So they're trying to keep Eldrick happy, and they're just overly accommodating for that reason. Just trying to make sure that they don't have a pissed off Baron on their hands. You board the sloop, and it is a smaller ship, but it's a fast ship. None of you have a lot of nautical experience or understanding, but you understand that a sloop is not it's intended for speed and maneuverability. It's not a big cargo vessel, and they're not transporting much other than you and your stuff, and so they're not riding low. They've got standard ballast, but you are the cargo, and you're the only cargo. You did note that they mentioned that you would be traveling with a caravan whenever you arrived at Camp Iron. That suggests that you won't be the only ones traveling from Camp Iron to Mulmaster, and that was not mentioned prior to today. But what exactly that means, you're not entirely certain. you will note, Eldrick, as you're going through all the paperwork, that 2 carriages have been set aside for you in
Okay.
this caravan, and that's primarily for your group. You, Macaria, Mycaria, and Eldrick, and the non-human members of your retinue in the other carriage.
Gotcha.
Or however you would like to dispense them, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for your protection, effectively. And
Sounds
so, you are loaded on board the ship, showed to the quarters, the temporary quarters that you'll have, and you were told effectively that they will be setting sail within the hour, and by morning or shortly after sunrise, they expect to be making landfall at Camp Iron. Anything in particular you want to do while on board the ship? Or are you just going to ride in style?
I mean, Eldrick,
get some rest.
Eldrick will do his usual, be very personable with people, do a little bit of getting to know the crew, but yeah, mostly just resting. We got a lot going on soon.
Go ahead and make me just a standard charisma check.
All right.
Nothing additional, just charisma.
What is going on here?
We can't roll dice tonight.
That is not correct. Hold on.
Ooh, no.
I'm a silly
D6.
person. Well, it's a D100 because I'm a silly person. And I still sucked at it. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oof. Well, that's
That's better.
a little better.
All right, so
Apparently my heart's not in it.
Eldrick does his best to try to seem, personable, but he figures out very quickly that the sailors on board the ship just want to get the job done, and they are all starstruck is not the word, but they're all very tight-lipped around the cargo, effectively. Mm-hmm. They all probably have been told, don't bother the passengers, and they don't really know how to deal with you. You come out dressed in your heavy golden plate armor on board a ship, and there's probably a little bit of just kind of a disconnect between you and them. They don't dislike you, but they don't spend a whole lot of time
No, certainly.
Trying to socialize either. You guys have the opportunity to get some rest. Assuming
we split in watches, Eldrick. We split in watches, you and I. I think it's just you, me, and Macaria now.
Yep. Yeah, we're splitting watches, you and me.
You're keeping your own watches while you're on board the ship.
We're too paranoid not to, honestly, at this point.
So the lower deck of the ship is effectively broken up into cabins, and Eldrick, of course, you have your own cabin. thoros'l, Macaria, and Mycaria are offered a cabin together, and then your soldiers are split up into various cabins where they're effectively set up, 3 and 4 in a bunk. It's nothing special, but it is comfortable and relatively safe. But keeping your own watches, you're keeping an eye on each other, keeping an eye on the crew, keeping an eye on the horizon, I guess. And 12 hours passes surprisingly quickly. As the sun begins to come up, you can see off in the distance that they've already sighted land. This captain and crew knows their business. They know exactly what they're doing. And it appears that within a few hours they're going to be rowing you out to the camp. So those few hours pass. The ship drops anchor just off the southern coast of the Moonsea, there at the Camp Iron Point, and rather than they don't have a dock there, so they take you in onesies and twosies and row you out from the ship to the camp, where and the camp itself is just a cluster of buildings, mostly warehouses, and like a bunkhouse, where this is a temporary stopover point for caravans that are moving along the coast. Most of it looks new because most of it is. There's not really. It's maybe existed for 8 months, not much longer than that, maybe less, and it is still very much in construction. There is a tavern, but essentially, whenever you arrive, you're met at the docks by another gentleman who is, basically bustling and trying to hurry you along, to keep you on your schedule. He's once again very, very, very accommodating, very polite, very genial, kissing your ass, making sure you understand that they're doing everything that they can to get you to where you are intended to go. And they will let you know that there are 8 wagons in your caravan, that you'll be taking up 2 of your wagons. Most of the other wagons are travelers who have come either from Mulmantar on previous voyages of the ship that you just left, or other similar ships, or who have come along the land route, and are bound for the same place that you are. So this is primarily a passenger caravan. There's not a lot of cargo. This isn't like a trades caravan. And they are saying that they are providing guards, obviously, for the caravan, but they don't expect any real any real danger this close to Mulmaster, because while there is some fairly difficult terrain that they're passing over, this area is fairly well patrolled by Mulmaster at this point in time. So expectation is we'll see some of the blades. I don't recall the name of the. It's escaping me at the moment. The name of the Mulmaster army / watch, but the patrols from Mulmaster will be likely in the area to provide assistance if there were anything to happen. But we're providing guards for your convenience and for your safety in the case that something should happen.
Giving the passenger wagons a once-over, do we see any sigils or any insignia that might indicate, I don't know, groups that are kind of hold together?
The wagons are largely unadorned. They all bear the emblazon of the city of Mulmaster, which you would have known from all of the paperwork that you've seen Eldrick working on for the last little bit. Everything is just stamped and sealed. But these caravans are actually run by the city itself, or by a guild within the city itself. And the individuals that are riding along as you're coming out to the wagons and loading up in the wagons, the individuals in the caravans are in the wagons are pretty much already loaded up and ready to go, and value their privacy as much as you do yours. And so you're not really seeing a lot of them. Whenever you do a glance at some of those individuals, they appear to be somewhat wealthier, as far as dress, but not wearing any insignias or anything that you necessarily recognize.
Sure.
Actually,
can I ask our resident ass kisser, the guy that's all over Eldrick's, buttocks? Are these families, or are they merchants? Who are we traveling with?
For the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part, they're merchants that are traveling between here and the outpost that you just left. There is a family, a merchant family. One of the merchant lords who took the recent trek from the the outpost of Mulmantar does in fact travel with his family, but most of the that's not an issue for you, is it?
Not at all.
Most of who you will encounter, if you are to socialize on the trek, you'll be moving fairly quickly, so there won't be a lot of time. But if there is an opportunity for you to speak with these individuals, they are perhaps maybe middle crust within the city. Powerful, well, we won't say powerful, but successful merchants in their own right, but not anyone that you should pay a special notice to. Not like the gentleman that you are representing. You are by far the more His Excellency is by far the most notable individual on this trek, on this leg of the journey.
I am.
I'll give him a nod.
Eldrick will chat with. You said her last name was Nalimbar?
It is Nalimbar. Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
Nalimbar. Okay. And let her. I assume she's coming. She's going to be like walking beside the carriages or some such.
That's actually what I was about to ask you next. Is with the exception of your 4 non-human, and your 4 non-human soldiers or guardsmen, I guess, guardsmen and women. There are 6 of your retinue that you can give orders to. They can walk alongside your carriage. They can mingle with the other guards. They can do whatever you decide that you would like for them to do.
I would have them stick with our 2 carriages, and I would make sure that that Captain Nalimbar knows that it would probably behoove us when we get to the city to be maybe 100 yards back from the rest of the carriages, so that it's not obvious that we're arriving with them, just on the off chance that ends up being a problem.
Understood, Excellency. We will.
Means that they're letter of the law or letter of the contract kind of situation.
I will speak with the caravan driver on the approach and make sure that that's understood, that we wish to be separated from the remainder of the caravan upon arrival or prior to arrival.
Appreciated.
Okay.
And we can be outside of the carriage. We don't need to be in the carriage until we're not even in the carriage, right? Carriages will be provided when we get to the city.
You're riding along in carriages toward the city, but that's primarily for your convenience. It's not until you're within actual sight of the city that the contract states that you are bound to your carriages.
Okay.
Got it.
And let's make no mistake, it is the 3 of you, thoros'l, Macaria, and Mycaria, who are bound to your carriages. Eldrick is free to do as he chooses.
Sure, and our other non-human...
Your other non-humans, yeah.
Need to be in out of sight too, right?
Emeth, Navarra, Lander, and Demoda are similarly bound to their carriage.
Gotcha.
It's expected to be about a half day's journey, so close to 8 hours. The caravan is already primed and ready to go. They're just waiting for you to get loaded up with all of your stuff. And once you do so, the carriages take off. And
all right.
It is not a pleasant ride. As I mentioned before, or as was mentioned to Eldrick before, these cart paths are fairly new, and they're over some pretty rough terrain. This is kind of hilly, rocky territory. That is, you've got a few miles inland from the coast, whenever you really truly start going, when you truly start going southeast, you pull away from the coast just to get out of the view of the coast, because the coast area is is mostly cliff faces. There's very little flat land here, and it's very, very difficult terrain the closer that you get to the actual shores of the Moonsea. But so you go inland for a couple of miles, and then you're traveling along a fairly new set of cart paths that have basically just been dug or have been laid out over the course of the last year. They are Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is all new because that pass is new, right? Like,
correct.
Major trade route coming through here is basically a brand new idea in the last year.
Correct. This has been established. Okay. Whenever I say within the last year, the pass opened up, I think in Kythorn, which is like the 5th month, so maybe 6 months ago. Now there was some preparation that went into it prior to that. There's been movements back and forth between Mulmaster and Mulmantar since then, but and even before then. But this is all less than a year old.
Gotcha.
They're still working out some of the kinks, and you get that pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
And as I said, the journey itself is far from enjoyable. There are a lot of stops, a lot of times that the wagons themselves, each of the wagons are, like I said before, fairly unadorned. They're very simple carriages. Like I said, there's no cargo. There's just carriages full of people. You do notice that there's maybe, outside of the near dozen caravan guards that are all on foot, you estimate they're probably in the other 6 wagons that you're traveling with. There's no more than maybe 24 people that are traveling with you. So you almost, like, with your entire retinue, you're basically a full third, if not close to half, of the group within your group and your 2 wagons and your guards. But yeah, the wagons stop every so often to make their way around obstacles that are not like intentional obstacles left in the middle of the road as like malfeasance or anything, but just these are not well maintained yet. You are passed occasionally by riders on horseback bearing the banners of Mulmaster. They always check in with your group, with your caravan driver, and make sure that his paperwork is in order, and that slows things down. But you do make fairly steady, if not quick, and not comfortable progress along this road. As the sun is starting to maybe make its way, as it's probably about halfway to the horizon, you start to see evidence of the city of Mulmaster off in the distance. You still got some terrain to try to traverse. You're passing through a fairly dense copse, or fairly dense little forested area that you can't actually see the city itself at this point in time, and it's been a little while since you've seen any of the patrols. But you are you're probably within maybe 3 or 4 hours of the city proper, meaning that you will be arriving at the city pretty close to sunset. It's going to be tight. The ship won't leave without you, but the expectation was that the ship would be leaving the Mulmaster Harbor shortly after sunset, and that's going to be a pretty tight deadline for you at this point in time. But again, the ship is not going to leave without you. You're its only cargo for the most part, and so you might have some pissed off porters that have to ferry you across the city very, very quickly. But you're not in breach of contract at this point in time.
At this point in time.
At this point in time.
Got it.
Then I need to roll a die.
Dum-dum-dum-dum.
So, which is it? Okay.
Oh,
So as you're starting to think, and it's been a little while, it's been probably a couple hours now since the last time we've seen anybody on this road. And traffic on the road, like I said before, patrols of mounted soldiers from Mulmantar have been more than occasional. They've been, often. There is a little bit of a lull, and you're thinking, are we moving as fast as we're supposed to be moving? Checking the sun in the sky. It's like we're gonna be really cutting it close, and it's been a little while since we've seen a patrol. A general shout goes up among the guards, and the caravan comes to a halt. You can hear the caravan driver shouting back to the various guards that are interspersed between the wagons, and there's some communication going back and forth. Bogdan comes to your wagon and basically knocks on the wagon and opens it and says, "Excellency, we've encountered a bit of an issue. The last wagon in the caravan has, it's broken a wheel. The caravan is going to have to stop for a time so that it can be repaired. I can offer our people's assistance in repairing it as quickly as possible, but we are going to have to stop. The caravan is not going to leave this wagon behind. Unless you want for us to break from the caravan now." Captain Nalambar mentioned to me that the expectation was that we would be breaking from the caravan closer to the city, but it would be possible for us to negotiate breaking away now. But we are on the other side of this forest. We are within sight of the city. It would be possible for us to navigate the rest of the way on our own.
Eldrick's not really a leave people behind kind of guy.
Oh my God, they're
Souls
they have
absolutely
guards.
have to. They do have guards. How many guards does this caravan have? Like a whole boat ton?
They've got 10. Well, they've got 10 guards, and then the driver, and then your 10 guards.
plenty.
If you do decide to leave them, then they'll have 6 wagons managed by 10 guards and the driver.
Really don't want to leave them there. That seems like God dang it.
Well, why don't we
to keep?
Dang it.
Why don't we call it there for the evening?
Oh no.
You have a decision to make, and for the 20... Nope. I can't do math. The 18th, when we play again, you can let me know if you intend to leave the caravan behind and journey out across the wilderness on your own, or if you intend to stay behind and help the caravan get going again. I think that's a perfect place to cut off for the evening, and we'll pick up next time in 2 weeks.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. Thanks to the cast for your patience. Number one, with the kind of slow start in getting to the action, and then obviously with the almost 2-month gap between this time and the last time that we played. I'm hoping that this change in our schedule will provide me with a little bit more off time to spend making sure that the content that we're providing is, more in keeping to our schedule and higher quality all the way around. We will see you next time. Once again, thanks to everybody who came out this evening. We will look forward to seeing you on Thursday for Area Apocalypse, especially you, Zale. We're looking forward to. There isn't a week that goes by now that somebody doesn't ask me, "Hey, when's Zale coming back?" So we're looking forward to seeing you sometime again soon on our weekend streams. But in the meantime, guys, have a great rest of your week. We will see you Thursday night for Area Apocalypse. Until then, good night and GG's.
Adios.